Welcome to Il Salotto Sessions, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of design with leading architects, designers, and industry experts. I'm your host, Sara Seravalli, and I'm thrilled to take you on this journey through the ever-evolving landscape of design and architecture. Let me share a bit about my background. I spent 16 enriching years in Milan, the capital of design, where I was deeply involved in showrooms and events not just in Milan, but also in Paris and London. In 2011, I made a pivotal move to London when I was hired by one of the specification market's main players to establish the new showroom in Clerkenwell. In 2013, my journey brought me to Scotland, where I founded Design Pop-Up. This initiative quickly gained traction and became a cornerstone in Glasgow and Manchester's design communities, and by 2018 we also expanded to Dublin. However, as the market evolved, I decided to refocus our efforts on Scotland. This led to the birth of Il Salotto, a new venture aimed at creating a virtual and physical space for meaningful conversations and insights into the specification market. Join us as we explore trends, share bios, and uncover the stories behind the creative minds shaping our world. Hello there and good morning. Welcome to this new episode of Il Salotto Sessions. Today, I'm very excited. I'm here with Jorge Hernandez, Group Product and Design Manager at Bathroom Brands. Buenos días.
Buenos días. Nice to be here.
¿Cómo estás?
Oh, estoy muy bien, gracias.
Oh, well done, well done. So, as you know, Jorge, I've been working with Crosswater for a long time. And it's obviously it's no secret that it's one of my favorite clients. Not just because you do some beautiful products, but also the people at Crosswater is just lovely to work with. So I'm very excited to meet you today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to meet you too. And great to be here.
So when did you join Crosswater? 3-4 years ago, post-pandemic or during the pandemic?
It was just after the pandemic, so it's been just over 3 years now since I've joined. Yeah, so it feels like a lot longer than that. But
I can't see. I can definitely see a change in the style though for Crosswater. You know, I remember in 2017 there was a product that came out, a tap that was quite rounded and then some Murano glass on top. I don't know if you ever seen it.
It rings a bell.
But I don't think it lasted long. We launched it and I thought this is quite quirky. It was all rounded and the water was coming out from an opening in the rounded section.
Oh yes.
It felt like a little bit of not your usual flow water, more dispersed, but that was quite girly. While you are definitely more of a manly input into the design, don't you?
Oh, okay, interesting. I'd like to think I can do a bit of both, but that's interesting.
Well, you can do a bit of both because then Burlington you go very girly and Crosswater is definitely more manly.
Yeah, that's a good analysis. I think you're probably right. If you look at the balance, they are sort of more masculine, feminine on both sides. Yeah.
So how did you end up designing bathrooms then?
Wow, it's a long story really, but not so much. So no, I think no one really sets out to design bathrooms. I think it's something that you stumble upon and then you either love it or hate it and disappear. So I think to go all the way back. So I'm originally from South America. I'm a sort of designer of Colombian Spanish heritage. So I've lived in 3 different cultures. And I think that's what gave me an appreciation for design at different levels as well, not just at sort of, let's say luxury, but across, the importance of design across all, segments of life and areas. So I've always known that I want to go into that space. And bathroom just happened to be the final destination. I did an internship whilst studying industrial design for working for the largest manufacturer of bathroom furniture in the UK.
Okay.
And that was quite enlightening really, because I got to work with not just furniture but lots of other materials. We designed taps and ceramics and furniture projects, and kind of made me realize how diverse the bathroom industry is with the amount of materials, processes, and design styles that are present in the space. So I think that's kind of what opened up my eyes to it. And then since then, I've not really looked back. There's always new exciting things to play with in this industry.
So what's the Colombian design scene like? I mean, obviously, I'm Italian, so I'm familiar with what the design scene is in Italy, and Spanish as well, because a lot of the companies I work with are, from Spain. But what's Colombia like?
It's a good question. I'd say it's still an emerging scene in many ways. So, there's a turbulent past in Colombia, as you would be aware of. And I think the echoes of that sort of turbulent past are still present. But I think, so there isn't really a foundation, let's say, or an infrastructure for design in the same way we have here in Europe. But I still, despite that, there's still emerging sort of talent and emerging disciplines that are taking over. And, it's a challenge, I think, in the scene where you kind of have a more jumbled past, and you have maybe not the infrastructure for, say, architecture and product design. These new designers are coming on and trying to shape the future of the country in a different way. So it's still a young scene, and it's sort of kind of fast paced and exciting, but not really made it to the sort of world stage just yet. But what I enjoy is, I think, there's a strong kind of love of the country and heritage. So people tend to look at the craft and the history when it comes to designing spaces and products down there.
Do you think your heritage is influencing your designs for bathroom brands, to be specific?
Bathroom brands.
Can you bring any of your Hispanic heritage in it?
I think yes. I mean, fundamentally, as you know, your heritage does shape the way you think, the way you see the world, and the way you design. And I think my approach is quite diverse. I don't think I sort of fit into one box. I try to be able to play across different spectrums. So I think that heritage, that multicultural heritage, kind of opens up my eyes to be able to consider and appreciate design at all levels, whether it would be just really basic sort of craftsmanship from the street of South America to the sort of more high-end, beautiful style of London, let's say. There's an appreciation for both sides and an understanding of their place and their time. I think going back to that sort of craft element, I don't know if you saw Heatherwick Studio developing the first building in South America.
Ooh, okay. No, I didn't see that.
They announced plans for a university building in Bogota, the capital of Colombia. And I think it's fantastic because it's a project that really echoes and brings out, the heritage of South America, the colorful culture of the people, and the sort of heritage of handicrafts, and implements it into the space.
Oh, that's really cool. Very nice.
I think it's quite an exciting little news for that side of the world.
Fantastic. Listen, how so obviously, as you say, bathrooms, they got a bit of everything in it. You can have timber, you can have porcelain, you can have metals of any sort of sizes. How do you start designing a new piece for your collections? Because you've got everything. You've got mirrors, you've got lights, you've got sinks and everything else.
Yeah. It's the possibilities are sort of endless in designing for bathrooms. We have to start through the lens of the brand, really. So we kind of have established directions that each of the brands take care of. So, for instance, our two most known brands, Crosswater and Burlington, they sit at these two different spectrums of contemporary design versus traditional design.
Yep.
So we know our audience and demographic through that lens. And we also have this sort of ethos, Crosswater is very sort of forward thinking, and it's all about creating cohesive spaces with a sort of modern feel, where Burlington's all about being richly inspired by the great eras of design and bringing those sort of eras to life in today's spaces. So through those lenses, we look at the project, and really it's back to the typical industrial design process, where you kind of analyze the user, analyze the problem, do as much research as you can to build up a brief, and then through the bank of inspiration that you find, and through the brand lens and that sort of pre-built specification, we kind of just set out to do design. And as you know, in every creative space, it's a very iterative process. We come up with lots and lots of different ideas, lots of different kind of directions, and you start to refine them until you kind of land at the right idea.
So do you follow trends or do you make them?
I like to think we play in both spaces.
Okay.
I think we sometimes follow, and we it's a win when you feel you can set a trend, I think. But we have to follow, because what we're trying to do is to cater to to audiences, to cater to people, whether architects, designers, or just your average consumer working on a renovation project. We want to service those people and their needs, and they are influenced by trends. They're influenced by what they're seeing, and we're there to sort of make that connection. And at the same time, we like to develop products so they land at the right time, and they're sort of in the wave of the trend, and not necessarily right at the front setting the trend, because that's not necessarily what the brands stand for.
Yeah, I suppose if you go ahead of the trends, then you might incur into the problem that you don't get understood.
Yeah.
If
well,
the times are not ready, and then you are too much forward thinking, then the risk is you're not accepted because people are not ready for it.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's been a stumbling stone for us in the past. We have, developed plenty of products. We have lots of examples of where that's sort of happened, where we've developed beautiful products, but the audience just wasn't quite ready for them.
So what's your favorite? Do you like taps or lights or mirrors or baths or sinks? What's your favorite? What's really tickle your inspiration, your imagination?
It's hard to choose. I think I like taps and mirrors the most, I would say, because they're the products that they give you the most creative freedom in a way. Their making process means that you can do endless combinations, and also they can be the statement points in a space. They tend to be the things that you notice most. So they can add a lot of impact to a space if that's the only thing you're changing. That will have impact.
I've got a weakness for sinks.
Okay.
Especially yours, colourful? You've got a pink sink, and then you've got a countertop sink. I really like my sinks. When you've got this lovely shape that is a bit curvaceous, but not too much. So it's kind of, I've got, after 10 years, I finally got my cross-water bathroom. My plumber is very jealous. He said, I can't believe.
Very nice.
Yeah, very nice.
I'm glad we were able to help you out there.
Talking about that, so as I said, my plumber, it was very jealous of my cross-water fittings. But I was reading an interview with you with, I can't remember what other magazine you got interviewed by, but you were talking about the democratization of luxury design. So make it more accessible.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to Andy, who's your regional manager for Scotland, he's got a very interesting concept that because you've got such a huge collection, you can touch any price point. But obviously, there is differences between the high-end product and the starting price. So that's interesting, because then it means you can use Crosswater and Burlington Bathroom brands in basically any project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the idea behind a lot of the ethos behind a lot of our brands. So if we step back and we look at the group as a group, all of our brands kind of play within the same parameters to some degree. So democratization of design is one of them. Being interior design led is another one. But specifically with the democratization element, which it really is a mouthful. We need a better word.
Yeah, you are much better at saying it than me, to be fair. But there you go.
I think, and this is where I think my background aligns well with what the vision for the business is. Luxury design at the luxury level there is so much choice. There is just, it's endless really. And that's been where, high-end design is kind of where you tend to see a lot of the most remarkable products and spaces. And
Yeah,
vision
because they
really
can
is,
use the best materials, can they?
absolutely,
Real marble rather than porcelain, and
no compromise.
beautiful timbers, and
and you can be, incredibly sort of decadent with the process as well. If the process breeds a better product, a better finish, then you can you go all in there. Whereas you have to be much more conscious on the price point at different levels in the market. So the idea behind this democratization of design is to track what's happening in the world of luxury design, to track sort of high-end and interior design trends at that point in the market, and to be inspired by those sort of ideas, trends, features, details, whatever you may call them, and to make those accessible to a wider audience. I think that's important, because otherwise we keep that divide. There needs to be sort of brands and there needs to be brands and people that connect these two, because why shouldn't those concepts of luxury and of beautiful design be available to more people?
Well, I'm very
different parts of
grateful
the
for
market.
that. I'm very known for having champagne taste and lemonade pockets. So I'm very happy with democratization of luxury design. So when obviously your products can be used in a variety of different settings, right? You cover residential to hospitality and so on and so forth. Do you think there is common elements between, say, a house, a bathroom in a house, in a hotel?
Definitely between sort of hospitality projects and sort of residential, I would say there are commonalities. I think on the commercial side of things, like office and so on, it's maybe a different kettle of fish. That's where the differences really lie.
Yeah.
I mean, the fundamentals are still the same. There's a need for quality. There's a need for long-lasting product that's fit for purpose and so on. So that doesn't really change. But we always, in the other side of things, we always talk about this cycle of 2 to 3 years between what happens in the world of hospitality and then what happens in the high street, let's say, and the average sort of person, because we tend to be inspired by the spaces that we see, and then we want to bring that into our homes.
Right.
And that takes time, because you may be inspired today by a lovely space that you've seen, let's say a hotel or a restaurant bathroom, but you may not be doing your renovation project for another 2-3 years. So that's the sort of the cycle that's constantly changing, and that's why that's really the difference. But as I say, the fundamentals kind of remain the same, and that sort of that loop is, I'm going on a tangent here, but
so as we were saying at the beginning, bathroom brands obviously have seen the evolution of the styles, mainly Crosswater, because my client has always been Crosswater rather than Burlington. And then you had another brand at some point. I can't remember the name, but it was beautiful. I just remember this beautiful bath. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent as well here. So you've been around for 4 years. So where do you see the company going in terms of trend, in terms of ethos, in terms of goals and objectives? Where do you want to bring? Where do you want to take bathroom brands to?
Yeah. So I think, to answer that question, I think the way I see the market going, and the way I've sort of my understanding of the changes, where we're moving away from, where the industry's moved away from a more minimalist interior space as the sort of popular space. So as the minimalist spaces have sort of evolved and moved into more a space full of expression, and it doesn't matter whether it's a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom, that spaces are becoming more colorful, more full of material, of expression, and more intricate, let's say. And I think in the same way that the kitchen at one point became not a separate space and it became part of the home with the dining room or with the living space, integrated, both in physical terms but also in design scheme terms, I think the bathroom has experienced that as well, and it's sort of in that point of change from being a separate space to the entire project to actually being a cohesive part of the scheme. Obviously not in terms of having open plan bathrooms just yet.
No, but a lot of people like a bath in the bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it's sort of slowly encroaching into that, and and we're using more glass than ever before to separate spaces, and the sort of technologies that are coming there where you've got privacy glass coming in. So I think that evolution, that change is coming, and that means that bathrooms are much more relevant to interior design than they've ever been. So the vision for the business and for the brand is to continue to be strongly led by what's happening in the world of interior design, which is mainly led by designers and architects in the community. So that's why it's so important for us to just engage and be a part of this space and to hear what's happening, and have that dialogue constantly going, because we see them as the sort of pioneers that are shaping the way spaces are designed. And so the vision continues to be to be inspired and led by that, by those directions, but also going back to fundamentals again is really important to me. So design ultimately looks to analyze the world and conceive new ways of doing things and change the problems and improve on them. And I think there's so much opportunity with these cycle of space changing. There are new sort of problems and challenges that emerge, and as designers in working for bathroom brands, we want to tackle those problems. We want to go back to the fundamentals and solve the issues around sort of cleanability and the issues around usage and space and storage and all of these emerging and constant problems that perhaps haven't been looked at or haven't been looked at in that through that lens before. So yeah, it's a big challenge, but we want to basically we want to tackle both areas to continue to be trend led, but also to deliver on the fundamentals and solve problems and improve the world through products that solve those problems.
I love that. Improve the world through design. I absolutely love that.
Exactly. Yeah, it sounds very grand, and I don't mean it to, but how satisfying does it feel when you find that product that solves the problem that you've done, or when you not just find a product, but when you kind of fit into the space and you kind of like, yes, that's perfect. That's what I've been looking for. That solves that problem, and that keeps delivering every time you interact with that object, especially if it's a well-designed object. That sort of joy continues, and that might be a really, really small thing, but that is changing the world because you're not going back to that problem before.
No, and
So,
I always say one of the reasons I'm so passionate about architecture and design is that good architecture can really improve people's lives. As you just said, you find a piece of design that actually solve a problem, or a good house can solve so many problems. So I love that. So my plans for next year, obviously opening Il Salotto, as you know, but then the 3 events with Design Pop-Up are going to be the traditional Design Pop-Up in March. Then we're going to have a sustainability focus in June and a hospitality focus in September. So this is an official invitation for you to come and talk at Design Pop-Up. Definitely hospitality. But I know you're very strong in sustainability as well, aren't you? As a company, I mean, you have a strong focus on sustainability as well.
Yeah, we do. Well, thank you for the invitation.
Well, my pleasure.
And yes, we do have a sort of a focus on it, a renewed and strong focus on trying to understand sustainability more and to deliver on sustainability goals more, for sure. I mean, there's so much going on really in our business around this. But from my side, particularly in the design side, it starts with the fundamentals. When we're looking at sort of specifications for products and we're just kind of going through the material list and we're going through the manufacturing processes, we're just trying to understand where we can deliver improvements, where we can select recycled, where we can select lower carbon impact products. That's where it starts at. So we've got, as a sort of fundamental within our design team, we sort of put in our step in place to try and do that, because if we don't challenge ourselves through that, then no change will come. And, as designers, the industrial design industry is very active and is very kind of constantly interacting on this, on kind of inspiring and influencing each other to make the right choices in the design process to bring sustainability, into focus. So that's kind of the little battle that we are, the little battle that we're fighting internally, and just trying to make small tweaks that will hopefully have big impact, because it's a simple thing like choosing recycled plastic and adding perhaps cost to a product, a minor cost, let's say, over new plastic. It seems like a small thing, but when you sell, when that product ends up in hundreds of hotel rooms, thousands of homes, that's big, that's impactful. So yeah, it sometimes seems like a small thing, but I think it can have a big impact.
So I need to introduce you to my friend Sam Freth at Solus.
I know Sam.
Oh, you know Sam, perfect. So you need to talk to each other, because they have just developed this new product called Spolia. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, we may be doing something together.
There you go.
With this,
Great minds think alike and all that jazz. I definitely should.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love what those guys are doing. And Sam's being really open with sharing what they're doing. So yeah, we're actually looking at something together.
Fair enough. I arrived too late to the party then.
Sorry, yeah. But
that's okay.
I appreciate the suggestion anyway. I'll make sure to mention it to Sam.
It's a great idea. I use leftovers from your production, all the metals from the taps and everything, and create a terrazzo that can be used for your bathrooms. Totally, completely, and that makes sense.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, we love that as well. And we've got a new, not to go into specifics, but yeah, we just launched a product last year. It's a worktop. So it's kind of similar to what these guys are doing. But again, the reason we chose it was because the majority, so I think 98% of the composition of the product originates from the waste made through marble manufacturing.
Yep.
So normally that process doesn't, when you make something out of marble, the offcuts, they're not really that valuable. They don't get used. They're difficult to kind of put back into machines and remachine. So finding a solution to that was, and putting it into new worktops, was something that kind of resonated well with us. And the products, I think, are beautiful as well for a engineered product. So yeah, I love how there's so many kind of, options in sustainability and new materials emerging that we're able to use and implement. I think that certainly is the future of design.
Fantastic. Jorge, thank you very much for this. I really enjoyed it. So again, I'll see you next year in Glasgow for a couple of times. Will you come?
Absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to coming. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for listening to Il Salotto Sessions. If you enjoyed the chat, please make sure you share with your friends and follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast. For more information on our events, please visit ilsalotto.design and designpopup.com. You can also find us on Instagram _designpopup and Il Salotto Glasgow, as well as LinkedIn. Should you have any feedback, questions, or suggestions, please do get in touch. We would love to hear from you. Thank you.